Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our relationship coach here joining us at Complete Dating Package from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Wade Redcross, to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much. Pleasure to have you here. And first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, I'm born and raised in Philly and now in Pittsburgh for 25 years. And I've been doing relationship coaching since for a good 5, 6 years professionally, but doing it with family and friends before that for quite a bit of time. I love doing it. And because some of my clients have been doing, I had a decent portion of my clients doing very well, and some doing just so because, as you probably know, dating has been crazy here lately. And
Yeah.
so I decided to kind of make some changes, and that's where I came up with this new concept with the complete dating package. So,
Oh
uh,
my goodness.
yes,
Okay, okay. First off, what is the website? How do we contact you?
okay. It's called completedatingpackage.com.
Perfect. You say get coached, get dates, find your special person. You also offer local single events. By the way, where are you in the world?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but
Beautiful.
we're offering these events in Pittsburgh, Philly, DC, and Baltimore. So we're starting off in 4 cities.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, indeed.
Amazing. All right. Well, let me just go back. Before we talk about you and your services, can you just go back a little in time? Tell me about your early childhood. I want to find out your path and journey, how you got here.
Oh my God. So, born and raised in Philly, like I said, came from a family of entrepreneurs. And so that's kind of that kind of gave me the juice to spark the inspiration to kind of think, kind of out of the box, like, well, dream up, like, what would I like to do? And to kind of put that into play, and to, um, put that out here into the world. And, um, and so that's and I'm sitting here trying to read this email that I want to send to you.
Oh, oh,
Um,
oh, don't worry, don't worry. I got the station to send it as well, just in case. So don't
okay,
worry.
great.
I do have it. I have it. So yeah, I know I want to talk a little bit about your personal life and you really you have what, 3 children? Been
I've
married
got
for 30 years. We all have our
yes.
struggles, right? So before we talk more about all these services you offer, I read about like your parents being entrepreneurs, right?
Yes.
Share a little bit about that and where, who mentored you in growing up.
So, well, I mean, my parents, my parents are fabulous people, just full of energy, go getters. They had a beer distributor, which they have an art gallery, and I worked in all of these growing up. I mean, it was like right after school, whether it was high school, grade school, it was like right after school, I'm in the business. I'm working the business. I'm in the business on weekends and knowing the customers, working with people. And that's how I kind of came to know business. That's how I came to learn what it's like to work with people, solving problems, that sort of thing. And I loved it. And I loved it.
Got it.
Um, and did that together with my brother and my sister, who I'm also connected with, and talked to my brother just like an hour ago. So really awesome.
Oh, and where did you grow up, by the way?
Philly in Philadelphia.
Awesome. So you stayed close to home, and I was reading about your father, right? And definitely he's your mentor, you would say.
I would say definitely. I talked to him earlier today too. Yeah, sure.
Oh, amazing. All right. So now in the work field, is this what you always done, or what were you doing before this?
No, boy, I've done a bunch of things. So I went to Temple University.
Ah, nice.
And while at school at Temple, I started printing these images on T-shirts. I had this business called Swank Tees. Some may remember. And I sold these t-shirts in the Gallery Mall in Temple, but in three malls in Philly, two in Maryland, and one in Miami. And so I was 22 years old and had 38 employees and was loving that. But I was doing more than what I was really ready for at that time, but I loved every minute of it. Because the business was just growing faster than what I kind of had the depth to really manage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I enjoyed that. I just was just doing what I knew based on what I learned from my family.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then how did you transition to coaching? I know originally it was single women, right? Looking for long-term relationships. Could you share about that?
Yeah. So that was, I mean, just a ton of fun. So I've done a number of boy, I've had a bunch of businesses all along the way. But yes, I worked with single women who were looking for long-term relationships. And that was really great. Being being a man and a married man who had, a family, I was able to give them a perspective that I think was really helpful for them.
Yeah.
And many of them found some great success. Some became married. I personally married a couple myself.
Are you licensed as well, or ordained, I should say?
Um, I'm not ordained, but I didn't. Pennsylvania has unique laws the because of the Amish, and so
Uh-huh.
couples are able to a couple can actually marry themselves without having an ordained minister or even a police marry them. So that's a whole nother topic.
Okay.
But anyway, um, uh, I did marry a couple that was a wonderful experience. A couple that I actually had coached and helped along the way. Um, and a lot of my couples did very well, but then there were some couples that didn't, and they were really kind of challenged because the single marketplace is so challenged. They had a problem with going online. These were women who had really invested in themselves, women who had gone through the process of growing and becoming coached, and yet would go out and meet with men who had not invested in themselves, who had not gone through coaching. And that was a challenge. Um, and online dating is kind of scary for a lot of folks. And that's a
Yeah.
big challenge as well.
Yeah.
And
Sure is.
so for a small percentage of the women that I worked with, they didn't weren't having the success that I'd like them to have. And that's kind of what caused me to change my practice.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing this. Now, let me ask, specifically now about the complete dating package, because you really offer a new approach to dating with the coaching and local single events. And again, Baltimore, DC, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Philly. So you said you give your singles opportunity to meet in person. So how do
Yes.
we go out and find the people, the pool in a sense? Explain to me how it works.
So, um, so we're looking for single men and women that are interested in having relationships, that are really interested in growing, that are interested in that are getting beyond the challenges of online dating. Many people find online dating to be challenging and scary. There's the catfishing issues. There's people showing up not being who they say they are. There are all those types of challenges as well. And so, and online dating is tries to do a great job of bringing lots of people together through a device. But the problem is that it's really hard to make a relationship happen digitally because relationships are so much more dynamic than that. And so that's why we're having local events so that people can actually meet. And,
I like that one-on-one connection. Hello, where is it gone? I mean,
and yes.
explain the trouble with this online world, if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh, the online world is just and and as a guy, I understand have men are disadvantaged through online dating. They aren't able to fully express themselves through online dating. They can't in a space they can fully express themselves, and um they can connect with other men. They can show who they are in a room, but they can't do that through a little device and a few photos. um and women are able to see who a man is in that kind of environment. People can have relationships with one another, and there's just so much more to see and comprehend about who a person is. And of course, the ability to have that chemistry when people meet and connect as well. So, this is what happens when people can meet one on one. And that's what we want to encourage.
I
Not to
love that.
mention,
Yeah.
Jill, not to mention the opportunity to practice what they're learning when they get all this knowledge through the classroom space with the coaches.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind sharing a little bit about what you're seeing with the dating world here in 2024? You know, for example, you have an app, right? Can you just share a little bit how the app part works about it too? And I want to know about your thoughts on dating and like, what has transpired since you've been married for 30 years. Do you see now that has changed in the dating world since back then till now?
Oh my gosh, there was no app. There was no app when I got married back in 1993. Boy, a long time ago. Um, so, uh, I mean, it was just, I mean, in my day, it was just boy meets girl, right?
Yeah,
But the truth is that it still is boy meets girl. It
yeah,
still is about trust.
yeah.
It still is about connecting and building a relationships. All relationships start from zero and just slowly build, no matter who you are. And so that still has to happen. Um, People are trying to do it digitally, but you just kind of can't get there. It still starts when you first meet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Digitally, people try to start by texting. And I hear this so often. People will say, we had such great text chemistry, but when we met, oh my goodness, it just totally fell apart because the person I imagined that I was texting wasn't the person I actually was engaging.
Yeah.
Very different, very different experience.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. So you hear communication is key. Is it true that people grow and change in a relationship, but they grow apart? Look, I've never been married, so I'm not the best person to ask. That's why we have you here. So I'm not a relationship expert. So I don't know how it works. That's why I think it's good for people out there to know you're not alone. And not everybody has figured this out yet, and it's okay.
No, not everybody has figured this out. I mean, gosh, I've been married 30 years, but even for me, I'm still growing, I'm still learning. I thought that at 30 years I would like have it totally figured out, but even for me, there's challenges. I'm 55. I'm working with people who are 55. Relationships are falling apart at 50 these
Yeah.
days,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so people find themselves starting over.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to start over. There's a lot of life still left to live. There's a lot of things to still hope for. And and and, it's, it's, and, 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 and it's, it's, and 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 it doesn't mean that it's the end. People can just can just take all of the great experiences that they have had that makes them who they are
Mm-hmm.
today and carry that forward.
Got it. Well, thank you for that. Let's remind everyone at this time, we're a little over halfway through, how we can reach out to you. If you could share the website again, phone number, any social media pages that you want to make sure we have.
Sure, it's the complete dating package.com. So you want to go there. What we're offering is 5 days of free coaching. So
Oh,
just get on the site and sign up for 5 days of free coaching. What's really cool about that, we have coaching for the men, coaching
mm-hmm.
for the women, and on the fourth day, there's co-ed coaching where you get to get in there and the men meet the women and get to ask all those questions like, why do you guys do this? Or why do you women do this all the time? And that's a lot of fun. Uh,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
then after those 5 days, you get to come to our local event. Now we call our local event the
The
lockout.
lockout. Yeah, I want to hear about the lockout. Tell me about that.
So we call it the lockout because we lock out everyone who's we lock out everyone who isn't single.
Okay.
And that's key because I've heard so often people say, I go to this event or that event, and there's so many people who are married and acting single,
Oh my goodness.
right? And we don't want a situation like that. So we want everyone at our events to be absolutely single, right? Make them absolutely
And let's
fun.
just clarify single, right? Because some people might say, well, I'm not married, I'm single. But are you in a relationship? A committed relationship would not justify being single, right? Like so how do you just want to make sure
That's a great
single,
question.
right? Because now, and
That's
then some people also are in open relationships too. So how do you know what's single these days? I feel like
Single
that
is
definition is
unattached,
unattached.
unattached and interested in a relationship.
Okay. Or I'm
That's
glad we clarified that.
yes. I'm glad you asked the question. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So, um, so that's single, and then our events have themes.
Ooh,
Now the themes are key and important
what?
because not everybody has the same interests. Some folks like the great outdoors, and some folks want to stay indoors and play board games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some folks are gravitate to things of a more mature nature, and some folks want to do the things that I don't know, the young millennials want to do or something of that nature. So there are all these different themes. So we have masquerade themes, the travelers themes, the
So
outdoor
cool.
theme, all these different themes. So when you look through our list of events, our list of lockouts, you get to choose the lockout that you want to go to based on the theme that interests you.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. But hold on. What's the warning? There's four ways to find a partner. If you pick the wrong one, it could cost you everything. I love that video. What's that about?
It absolutely can cost you everything. Absolutely. So you when it comes to finding a partner, gosh, I mean, you can there's online dating, which absolutely can be, I mean, we talked about it already, that absolutely can be
Yeah.
scary. I mean, some people just don't do it at all. I hear so many people say, I go in, then I come out, then I try it again, then I
Yeah.
stop, right? So there's that. Um, there's also taking on a date from family and friends.
Okay.
And a lot of times that doesn't work out because family and friends are like, oh, you would love this person, but sometimes they don't really know or understand exactly what you're interested in or what you're looking for.
Got it.
Uh, right. And so there are all these different ways in which you might try to connect, and it's difficult. And so we've created what we hope might be a way where you can um, learn how to connect with,
Mm-hmm.
um, first of all, learn about yourself, what your
Okay.
own needs and interests are. This one woman that we coached, she made this great quote, which I loved. Um, she said, she thought she wanted a certain type of man.
Okay.
But after the coaching, she said she realized that she didn't want that kind of guy at all. She
Interesting.
wanted something else entirely. And of course, that's what she found, and it's what she has a relationship with now. Um,
Wow.
yeah, which is really cool. It's cool to learn about who you are through the coaching and who the best type of partner might be for you,
Got it.
and then know how to pursue that type of partner, knowing the right questions to ask on the first date, knowing how to move forward through the dating process, having a plan, in fact, so that you can date uh, efficiently, effectively, and find your find your guy or find your gal, as they say.
And do we do same-sex relationship too, or is this strictly men with women, women with men, or is it men and men, women, women as well? Just curious.
So, like we have on a website, we have not yet gotten to the LGBTQ relationships yet, but that's soon to come,
Awesome.
right? So, but right now we're just working with, you
Great.
know, men and women.
Beautiful. Well, also, I want to point out, you mentioned the themes you have, the no need for online dating. This is so cool. Do you want to share some of your success stories? I would love to hear some.
Yeah, well, I mean, gosh, there's um there's one where a lot of the success stories that it's a really interesting phenomenon that the dating program that I had for the women that I coached was a 12-week program, and which is 3 months, and for so many, they would find their guy right at that 3, 4, 5 month mark. It was so interesting that they find their guy so quickly. They come right out of the coaching program, and usually the direction I would give is date once a week. Once a week as best as you can. Go on a new date once a week, and that was a tall order. But yet, those who were really up for it, that's exactly what they would do. And so, but what was interesting about that is that it's high energy. It's really, taking on online dating and really trying to find somebody new to date every single week. They would do that, and they'd find their guy, um, and do exceptionally well. What's interesting about that is that I would say to them, don't try to find the perfect guy right away. You're just trying to date. You're trying to just date men so that you can practice what you learn. And eventually, the right guy's going to come along, and you will have become proficient in what you've learned enough so that when the right guy comes along, you're going to do very well. Um, and so, what was interesting about that, sometimes a woman would fall in love with a guy who was one of the guys that wasn't a 10, so to speak. She was just like dating one of the guys who was just a practice guy, if I may say so. And she would just totally fall in love with him. And so that was just so interesting. And saw a marriage here recently for one of those couples. And so apparently the guy's a real sweetheart, and they golf together and spend tons of time together, and wound up. And not only that, but she swore in the dating process she would never marry. but now she's married.
I love it. I knew it. I knew I was waiting for the punchline. That's amazing.
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And clearly you have a passion for connecting people. We have only 2 minutes left in the show, so I know this is our first show together. Hopefully we have more. But what else is important today that you want to make sure we let our listeners know?
There's so many nuances to the whole lockout thing I'd like to share also. I know some of our listeners who may come to participate are really into personal growth. And so you've asked about this app, and I hadn't gotten to it. Everyone wears lanyards, and with the app on the lanyard, there is a QR code. And so you can scan the QR code, and it gives access to one another's profiles with all the information when someone's interested in you. Phone number, Instagram, photos, all that kind of stuff. So that's really interesting. And the lanyards come in different colors. And so individuals who are really taking lots of coaching courses are wearing lanyards of different colors. And so you can see who's really, based on the lanyard that they're wearing, who's really interested in personal growth.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. All right. Remind us how we can reach out to. Would you mind sharing all forms of
Sure.
contact?
It's completedatingpackage.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This is exciting to connect people. We all want love, want to find love, feel loved, give love. It's what makes the world go around, right? Might as well be happy.
Indeed.
And it is possible. Don't give up hope. And we'll talk more about that next week, okay?
Indeed.
Thank you so much. Pleasure
Thank
having you
you.
here and looking forward to our next conversation. Thanks again.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.